All right, today's question, let's check it out. I hear you talk about narrative often, but don't quite get what it is. What is it and how do I use it? Okay, so narrative literally means story. A story is a narrative, right? And that's what narrative is. It's the story of you and the girl. It's the kind of the idea in her head of what you and she are to each other that makes it special, right? If you've ever watched Disney movies or romantic comedy movies, it's this idea that these two people belong together, they're special. And that's what makes it feel like a win for the girl when you get together for sex or relationship or whatever it ends up being. All right, so that's the idea. And actually, I think narrative makes intuitive sense to a lot of people because it is what you want with a girl. You see a girl you like, you have a crush on her, you want that narrative with her, you want to believe it's special. Problem is, most guys try and lead with narrative. They try and go straight in and just be like, hey, let's connect. And the girl's like, who the fuck are you? Why do I want to connect with you? Right? You need to actually get her attention in some way. You need to let her know that you exist as a man to her woman as opposed to just as two strangers or friend to friend. And then you need to convey some kind of value so she actually wants to try and connect with you. If you go up to a girl, especially an in-demand, hot girl that has lots of male suitors, something like that, and you like, hey, let's connect. She's like, no thanks, I have plenty of guys trying to connect with me. I don't need more of that. Right? But once you've set yourself apart in some way, now she wants that, and now you can create that connection. And most couples have a narrative, right? If you talk to married couples or couples that have been together for a lot of years or couples that really love their relationship, they always have the story of how we met or the story of this crazy thing they did together that brought them closer. Those are the things that are narrative, and those are the things that really form the difference between a couple who is has that identity as a couple versus two people that are just attractive and attracted to each other, right? And that's why a lot of times a girl will stay with her boyfriend even if you're higher value than him. I mean, you can eventually probably win her over with enough time, but that's why there is this compulsion to stay with a boyfriend because they have that history together, they have that shared thing together, and she feels like if she were to start over again, she'd be throwing all that away and she'd have to rebuild all that, and that seems like a lot of work, a lot of effort. There's a lot of history there. So that's what narrative is. It's the story, the history of a relationship, and it's what cements beyond attraction. It's where you've kind of made that logical decision, this person's right for me, this person's a win for me, and that's where you get girls really, really, really buying in. And advanced guys will start to even have narrative in their sets within the club, within a date. They can start having those hints of narrative, and that's what makes the girl truly, truly, truly chase and truly get invested. So a follow-up question that might be, how is narrative built? And that has the same answer as the answer to almost everything in game, which is it depends, but I'll give you some examples of different things that might fall together as narrative. Let's say for me, I played soccer growing up, and I like soccer. It's something I'm passionate about and was very passionate about at a young age. If I found out a girl plays soccer, I like her more because of it. I almost can't help but like her more because of it because I associate her with all those positive things. That's one thing that narrative can be, which is commonalities. If you have commonalities with someone, it feels more like that you maybe belong together or that it's kind of meant to be or that it's a better potential relationship than if you don't have those kind of things. Another one would be, what if you have an interesting story of how you met the girl? Maybe instead of just meeting the girl once at a bar, you meet her at the bar and you met her on the way in, you bumped into her, and then on the way out, it turns out you had a common friend and he introduced you a third time. It's like, oh, we were almost destined to be brought together by fate. There's this kind of cool story that is like, oh, we were meant to be together, or it's funny, or it's cool to tell. That can kind of contribute to narrative, okay? Other things that can contribute to narrative is if there is some kind of shared experience or character arc. If you've learned something together, grown together, if you've known a girl for a period of time, just time in a girl's presence and time with her getting to know you and you getting to know her, that all will naturally build narrative. And that's how narrative usually builds. Narrative usually builds with people really just liking each other and spending time together. And then narrative isn't some external thing that was so crazy. It's the fact that because they liked each other, they were almost searching for a narrative or almost trying to find that narrative because they wanted to be brought together. And when a girl really likes you and when a girl is chasing you, she'll be looking for reasons you are special to each other. And she'll be trying to find commonalities. You'll notice it. A lot of times when you're talking to a girl and she doesn't like you and you try and say something common, she'll be like, no, I'm not really like that. And then later on, when the girl really likes you, you'll say something, she'll be like, oh, me too, that's so cool that you're into that, and she'll get on board with it. So narrative does build gradually and naturally over time, but things like commonalities, things like shared experiences, things like trials and tribulations, struggles you've had together, that kind of stuff all really does contribute as well. So the way to build it technically would be to try and find commonalities and try and create those shared experiences. Here's the problem though. If you are trying too hard to do that, you're actually going to be low value and you're going to make the girl want it less. So trying to actively build narrative isn't really a very good idea. What you can do though is you can be receptive to the girl building narrative, right? So when a girl does find some kind of commonality, you can go along with it, acknowledge it, and let that kind of happen, right? and you can sort of like go towards topics that might have some commonalities and that sort of stuff. Or when you do find a commonality, you can get a little bit excited about it. But going out of your way to say, me too, me too, me too, I'm just like you, I'm just like you, I'm just like you, actually is kind of low value. So that kind of doesn't work. And that's why I usually don't advise guys to try and create narrative. I try and advise guys to make the girl really like them and then spend time and enjoy the interaction and let the narrative develop kind of organically. And that's usually the best way. But if it is developing, you can help it to develop by encouraging those types of things. So if you like the video, hit like below. Also, if you want your question answered, post it below, because this channel, the comments, is where I get the questions that I do answer. All right, take care. See you next time.